Hello, this is Selena. Welcome to the Summer Garden of Dreaming 2022. This is the 7th annual garden tour. We've come through 2 difficult summers with COVID, the pandemic, lockdown. Canada had one of the longest lockdowns in the world. And now hopefully we're heading towards the light. You know the route. If you've been following, this is the 7th time we are taking this walk along the garden path. Through the leafy gates and into my secret garden. The Secret Garden, my living museum of found art, broken, abandoned, and unwanted things, peaks around the middle of July. And the clematis is in all its glory. It's going to be done in a couple of days, so today was the perfect day. Can you hear the birds sing? This arch is new. This is my perennial jasmine. I just got cuttings and I've been busy over the last 2 COVID summers. There was nothing much else to do, so it's in full bloom now. And this beautiful chandelier that somebody had thrown out. The sun is blazing today, probably a little later in the day than I would have chosen, but it has been busy. The garden is ready, it has been watered and the grass has been cut, so I didn't want to waste the perfect time in doing it. This little corner began with this mirror that I picked up, and then everything evolved from there, culminating with the arch. After that I found 2 chairs and then the metal containers. Somebody asked me if I planned the landscape, and the answer is no, because the landscape evolves according to what I find, sometimes abandoned, sometimes at thrift stores, garage sales, and friends give things to me. And mirrors, this beautiful antique mirror. I had a text from a lovely neighbor 3 days ago. She said, go to this address. Someone has put this out and it's just perfect for this spot. There's a whole new lot of bottles. And when mirrors shatter, that's not a problem. I just glue them together again and make a mirror mosaic. So for those of you who are familiar, this garden has really evolved beautifully. There are some new things, so let's go around and refresh your memory. The bottle tree is sagging a bit. I don't know for how much longer the ghost of the dead tree is going to hang on, but we'll make the most of it for the moment. I planted a little perennial jasmine cutting here to grow over this wire collapsible clothes dryer, and it's just done blooming, but the fragrance is gorgeous, amazing. I had a little treasure chest here that's been thrown out. Another glorious clematis vine. There are about 8 to 10 vines in this garden. And here we have some lovely green bottles. I love the colored bottles and the way they catch the sun. And this is new. This was a seat. It was in pieces, but I kind of wired them together. It makes a lovely Instagram station. I got a concrete paving stone for the seat, and visitors here pose at the spot. Here we have, I think it is a pet run, a pen, and it's perfect for this climbing, the morning glory, and another perennial jasmine. And here are my quirky bottles. The colored bottles were the gift from an old friend. They were full of moonshine. I cleaned the bottles and there they are. This was the skeleton of a bicycle. I wonder who would just throw out the skeleton of a bicycle, but it's perfect with these little fruit baskets, a little tin container hanging from it. Here is the barbecue pit, if you remember, with this little barbecue 1, 2, a little baby one here, 3, and the big one, 4. And if you remember here, it's a grate, a fireplace cover door that serves as a sort of a window. And these are all old friends, but we should be moving along, shouldn't we? I yearn for this time of day. As my friends all know, the summer gets busy because everybody wants to host their events here. And our neighbors like to gather here, which is lovely. And I love the Saturday mornings when just sit out and have a lazy brunch and just feel like, wow, do we even need to go on holiday when we have this garden? These are 2 old ceiling lights wired together and covered with stained glass, which was scraps of stained glass, which was a gift from a lovely crafty artisan neighbor who lives up the street. I have 2 gorgeous green demigianas, as the Italians call them. They store wine in them. This was a huge, some kind of a metal ring. I don't know what it is, but it's covered with blooming clematis now. And the pot used to sit, remember, on the little 2-legged chair. The 2-legged chair went out on the curb for the trash this year because it was time to meet its maker wherever dead chairs go. I put a pile of things out in the trash, my artwork and rotting furniture, chairs, mirrors, but it doesn't seem to have made a dent because over the winter I found more. Here's the bridge, not over troubled waters, and this little arch, this little arbor that I created out of 2 ends of a bed frame and just a piece of metal that I found is working perfectly. There's a clematis on one side and another blooming vine on the other side, which hasn't bloomed yet. And this is a shower door covered with my lovely neighbor's scraps of stained glass, and the wash basin, it's covered with chicken wire because of the wretched bunny. The bunny, an update on Bunny, my enemy. Sadly, I found him dead under the garden seat. He must have been around tormenting me and my flowers for about 10 years. And there he was under the garden seat at the far end of the garden by the shed. And after a moment's sort of regret, I popped him into the compost bag and put him out. And then I felt relief because my plants would be safe, my flowers would be safe. But alas, I forgot that last year Bunny had a girlfriend with him. So one day I looked out of my window and there was a little baby bunny who is a full-grown bunny now and creating the same havoc that his sire, his father, did. I've got these little things here. They are crystal little pendulum hangy thingies, which I found a lot of chandeliers. I donated many of them, but I remembered to remove the crystal pendants off of them, and I've got them hanging all over, and they are quite beautiful when the sun catches them. This is a new mirror. Well, it's old, but new here, from renovations that were done in the bathroom. The contractors thought I was totally crazy when I asked them to bring it out into the garden and not take it to the dump. And they didn't speak English, but from their tone of voice, I knew they were discussing the crazy woman. But it looks lovely there. The roses, I had to deadhead them, remove the dead ones last evening. They were in full throttle, full bloom. Here I have another window. It's literally a stained glass window. And more of the pendants. And this was another neighbor's light lamp that she asked me if I wanted. I love how my neighbors never throw anything out without checking with me if I could make use of them. And it's very rarely that I have to say no, because these beautiful ladies understand this crazy plant lady's heartbeat. Or a friend will say, my neighbor is throwing this out, would you like to have it? So I've got quite a supply chain network now. Again, this old chair acts as a frame, as a pot holder. And this is new from COVID spring. I found these two antique chairs buried in the snow. I managed to extricate them. They were, the seat was moldy, rotting, woven raffia. I'm thinking these chairs must be 50 to 60 years old. Had to manually cut the raffia off and then sand the chair down and then paint them both over with some water seal paint. And as you can see, a lot of the stained glass pieces have fallen off. The winter was unusually harsh, and I just haven't had the time or the energy to put the effort in to glue them back on. It seems like now that we're coming out of the pandemic mode, we're all beginning to live feverishly, extending ourselves. So I am thankful though for the time of lockdown, just aware that not one moment was wasted. We are expecting company this evening. We love to do afternoon tea on the deck. It's just beautiful with the birds and the wind chimes, and so that has been a summer pursuit. I decided this year that I was not going to feed the birds, fill the bird feeders, because one sack, really quite a large sack of bird feed, doesn't last that long, and I thought I could put that money to better use, especially in these times when people are struggling. So if you notice, for the first time in years, probably for the first time since this annual tour began, I have planted impatiens instead of petunias. And that is because about 2 summers ago, or maybe last summer, there was a new phenomenon where I just wake up in the morning and find every single flower gone. And it was such a terrible, terrible feeling. And I discovered that it was the squirrels. I don't know why suddenly they have developed a liking for petunias. I discovered from the garden center that the only flowers that they are not very fond of are impatiens. So I decided to plant impatiens this year, and it paid off. The money is like them though, so whatever is on ground level, I have covered with chicken wire. This was another COVID gift from my friend Angeline, who was disposing of, I think it was her kitchen or her dining room light, and the last few scraps of my neighbor Mary's stained glass went to cover it and create something really quite beautiful with it. You can see the clematis here in full bloom, another clematis, and a third one, and a fourth one just beginning to bloom, and another variety of fifth clematis here. And over here, this is also new, I probably didn't highlight it last year, a bicycle wheel leaning against a folding metal, one of those old-fashioned clothes dryer thingies. And this clematis has a dramatic story behind it. My mother-in-law asked me to dig it up because it was dead. It hadn't come up in the spring and she wanted it thrown away. I couldn't bring myself to throw it away, so I planted it in this corner and it's thriving. It hasn't bloomed yet this year. This is my exercise ball. As you can see, a lot of the pieces have fallen out and I just haven't made the effort or the time to glue them back again. This also, the coconut shells, I've just put them upside down because they were glued onto the chandelier and made a lovely bird squirrel feeder, but just needs re-gluing. And my lovely little spice rack. And I'm not sure if this was here yesterday. It was a glass Lazy Susan covered with stained glass and standing on this gorgeous old-fashioned, I think it's one of these easels that you find in the old grand hotels. But anyway, picked it up at a little thrift store somewhere out in the country. And these are literally stained glass windows. These are bookshelf covered doors that someone had thrown away. And here, yeah, even this bottle someone had thrown away. This says that special people never leave us. They live forever in our hearts. This was a gift from a friend after my mum passed on. And here we have, it's a sort of a cascade of color. It's really two wash basins staggered in height that gives this depth. And another clematis. Now this area, remember my greenhouse made out of windows? That is my window of opportunity. And I've moved things around a bit. This area never did well because the trees were so thick. But 2 falls ago, about 2 Novembers ago, we had the cherry tree and the apple tree pruned. And now grass is growing where grass never grew. And this corner has really taken off after, oh my goodness, so many years. So here is my old antique wheelbarrow and this carved piece of marble, I think. That was just abandoned somewhere by an old barn. I got permission and I brought it home. It's been around for years. I just haven't highlighted it. And this is an old garden chair that's kind of crumbling. So I'm training the ivy all over the back. And I love how the sun dapples this area. This used to be my secret spot where I used to lie under the apple tree and read on a Sunday afternoon. But, well, that doesn't happen now because I've planted things. And here are shells from overseas trips. This is the little road to nowhere. I just love how the mirrors pick things up. This is a barbecue from the 1950s, and this is an over-the-door shoe rack that I was hoping would be a good trellis. I have also got planted a jasmine here, perennial jasmine. It's taking forever to take off because the moment new shoots come, the squirrels get it. So I'm just thankful that they're not attacking my flowers this year. This is the bedroom. It doesn't look much like a bedroom now. I had to throw out a lot of the bedroomy things. But the wash basin, which is a gift during the pandemic, is doing okay. So the bedroom has an ensuite. And yeah, this gorgeous light fitting. It must be over 80 years old, falling apart. But I removed the crystal pendants from them, so they have become ornaments. And the clematis, another clematis here, growing over a wire, old-fashioned wire clothes drying rack. It bloomed in the spring, a little too early for filming the garden. And here we have a tire it acts beautifully as a raised flower bed. This is new. This is chandelier corner. I have more of these lovely crystal pendants, as you can see, and you can hear the lovely wind chimes in the background. I have some bird houses here, and here is my ladder. It's festooned with ivy. It takes about a year or two for something new to feel like it comfortably fits into the landscape. Here I have another mirror mosaic with two tiny windows, made out of two tiny windows wired together. And this is a broken chair I picked up. It's so charming as a planter. And another neighbor offered me this stool thingy which matches perfectly. This was a barbecue. It has collapsed on its wooden legs, but I thought I'd leave it there. It looks like a giraffe with a fractured leg or something, and it's too heavy to move, so I left it. And this grand old Duchess chandelier is from our new neighbors next door. They bought the house and they did massive renovations. She looked out of her bedroom window and she saw what my garden looked like, and she asked me if I wanted the chandelier. It took some dragging and heft to bring it out here, but I thought, okay, here I've met my Waterloo. I am not going to be able to make use of it, but I did. I found the perfect corner, and it matched the other little chandelier I have here, and a third one. And I removed all the crystal pendants, and they are just so pretty, suspended from the branches. And the kitchen section is not that kitcheny anymore. All the angels have gone into the bedroom. There's a lot of color this time because the squirrels haven't eaten my flowers. So this is it. I had to throw out a lot of mirrors, or the frames had rotted. This was from a friend. She showed up during COVID. I couldn't recognize her with the mask. She said she picked it up a year ago somewhere out in the country, and it had been sitting in her garage. That was a lovely present and a welcome diversion during those long days. So here we are. This is the last corner. This corner doesn't have a name, but this is a giant glass vase that I couldn't bring myself to throw out, although it had got a crack and a hole somewhere halfway down. So I covered the holes with big pieces of stained glass, and it goes beautifully with this hanging lamp here and this other stained glass window. And here we are. Here we are in the summer garden of dreaming. Can you hear the chimes? Aren't they absolutely divine? And look at the clematis. And look at more clematis reflected in the mirror. And I can hear the bamboo wood chimes that we picked up on a trip to the Dominican maybe 13 years ago or more. And there's my angel kneeling in worship. And this is the summer garden of dreaming. When I'm out in this garden, nothing seems impossible. I think of that old hymn. I'm not sure if it's Jim Reeves, where it says, I come to the garden alone with Jesus the Nazarene. I come to the garden alone while the dew is still on the roses. And he talks about how he walks with me and listen to the chimes. And he talks with me and he tells me I am his own. It just gives me the shivers. There don't seem to be enough hours in the day, so I've taken to it coming outside at 5:30 in the morning, because in spite of the sprinklers, it takes almost an hour and a half, with the occasional weeding and pruning and stuff, to get the garden watered and hydrated. And I just think of the words of that song, I come to the garden alone while the dew is still on the roses. And he walks with me and he talks with me and he tells me I am his own. Well, this is it. This is the 7th annual tour. Thank you for walking with me. As always, thank you. Thank you so much for the support. Thank you for the emails. Thank you for the texts and the Facebook messages inquiring about when the next video is going to come. I have to be totally honest. Every year I think this is going to be the last, because as the garden gets more complex and more work, my goodness, in the month of May for several weeks, it's hard work. But I keep reminding myself, I keep picturing what it's going to look like in a month's time and the joy it's going to bring. And it does bring joy, not just to me and to my family, but to our friends and neighbors. And this garden is a bit of a neighborhood curiosity. We do have garden tourists popping in all the time. So they end up having tea on the deck, and it is totally my joy. Well, this is Selena saying, don't stop dreaming, because it's never too late and you are never too old to dream. I'll see you next summer. Bye.